Before you go on holiday to an English-speaking country, you should learn some useful phrases that you can use in the hotel. In this video, I will break it down step by step and give you the most essential phrases to use when you're in the hotel so that you can feel more confident and sound just like a native speaker. Let's get started with the first step, which is arriving at the hotel. When you go to the front desk to check in, the first thing you can say is, "I'd like to check in, please. I have a reservation under," and then say your name. This phrase can also be used for a restaurant. If you made a reservation, when you arrive, you say, "I have a reservation under," and the name you used to make the reservation. The receptionist will probably ask for your passport or your ID. They will get you checked in and maybe give you some information, but you might have some questions. For example, what time is breakfast? You might also need to ask what time you have to leave your room at the end of the holiday. For this, you would say, "What time is checkout?" If you want to leave your room a little bit later, you can ask, "Could I have a late checkout, please?" This means they will give you more time to check out of your room. Some things you can say if you have more special requests. Is it possible to have a room with a view? Could you arrange for an extra bed? This is something you might say if you have an extra person or a child in your group and you need more space for people to sleep in the room. If you arrive with a group of people and you are checking into multiple rooms, and you want your rooms to be next to each other, you can ask for adjoining rooms. So you would say, "Is it possible to have adjoining rooms?" Meaning rooms that are next to each other. So now you have checked into your room and you might want to ask the hotel staff for some extra information, for example, recommendations for things to do and places to go. A useful phrase for this is, "Could you recommend?" For example, "Could you recommend a good restaurant nearby?" Or, "What do you recommend we do tomorrow afternoon?" If you want to leave the hotel and you need some help with travel and directions, you could ask, "How do I get to the nearest metro station?" Or, "What's the best way to get to the History Museum?" Or if you're walking, "Could you give me directions to the train station?" Other things you might ask hotel staff: "What's the Wi-Fi password?" "Can I order room service?" So if you want some food or something delivered to your room, you ask for room service. "Could we have some extra towels, please?" Sometimes you might have problems with your room, and here are some common things you might need to say. "The air conditioning in our room isn't working." "There's a problem with the hot water." "The Wi-Fi is very slow. Is there something you can do about that?" "I'm having problems with the Wi-Fi," or "I'm having problems connecting to the internet." If you don't like your room and you want to change, you can ask, "Is it possible to change rooms?" Remember, to sound more polite when you're making a request, you can use the phrase, "Is it possible to?" This phrase can be used for requesting things. For example, "Is it possible to get some extra pillows?" "Is it possible to move to a quieter room?" Now moving on to the hotel facilities and services. If your hotel has a restaurant or bar, you might ask, "Do I have to make a reservation for dinner?" Or, "Can I please make a reservation for dinner?" If you want to add extra services like food, drink to your room tab, you can say, "Can I put this on the room?" That means you don't pay for it in the moment, but you'll pay at the end of your stay. "Can I put this on the room?" Or, "Can I add this to my room?" Other services you might need from the hotel: "Could you please book a taxi for me?" "Can I make an appointment at the spa?" "Is the pool open 24 hours?" If you are enjoying this video and finding it useful, please help me out by giving it a like and subscribing to my channel for more content like this. Now let's get back to our video with our final category. So your holiday is over and hopefully you had a great time. It is now time to leave the hotel and check out. When you get to reception, you can say, "I'd like to check out, please." If you want to have a copy of your bill for your own records, you can ask, "Can I have a copy of the bill, please?" Things you might say when paying for your room. "Can I pay by card?" If there's a problem with your bill, you can say, "I think there's a mistake with my bill." For example, a charge that's not supposed to be there. Something you might want to ask from the hotel is that they keep your luggage for you. Perhaps you had to check out early, but your plane doesn't leave for another few hours and you don't want to carry your suitcases around with you. You can ask at the reception, "Can you store my luggage for a few hours?" Most hotels have luggage storage and usually that's not a problem. If you need help leaving the hotel, you can ask, "Could you book a taxi to the airport for me, please?" Or even, "Is there a shuttle to the airport?" A shuttle is a service that hotels sometimes provide where they take you to the airport on a bus, and sometimes it's free, sometimes you pay. So you could even say, "Is there a free shuttle service to the airport?" And finally, as you're leaving, if you want to say something nice to the people at the front desk, you can say, "Thank you very much, I had a great stay." Or, "We really enjoyed our stay, thank you." And that's it. Hopefully you had a great time on your holiday and you used all those phrases with confidence. Another situation where you need some essential phrases is when you are in a restaurant. So if you are looking for more phrases to use in this situation, I recommend that you watch this video next. See you there.